So our next speaker is Nadim Majid. Thank you, Nadim.
What I would like to talk about is basically how to be the dentist when the patient is not in practice. This kind of rolls on from what John was speaking about already. John kind of spoke about how to acquire new patients. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to sort of keep the patients, how to keep the motivation and the relationship once they've left the practice. Just to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Nadim. Squat practice. I opened up in 2008. We had 0 patients, and at the same time my wife was expecting twins. So 2008 was quite a big year for us. That was in 2008. We took on a lease for this building, which was 4 empty walls. Those my kids were born in 2008. So at the end of 2008, I had 4 empty walls and 2 babies. And we went from that to this. This is the practice now. So this is 4.5 years on. And that's the children and we're right there. And that's the practice. And we've been successful with growing the practice. And we've done really well in the last few years. So 2008 to 2010 was all about generating new patients. Again, mainly based on some of the stuff that John's already covered. But in the end of 2010, we ran into quite an interesting situation, a bit of a challenge. When we looked at the database, this is what we found. We had roughly about 70% of our patients were active, 20% inactive. Now what I mean by active patients are people who are actively undergoing some treatment or in the process of doing some treatment. Inactive patients are people who are, what I mean by inactive patients, are people who are coming at the treatment plan for one reason or another, either said they weren't going to go ahead at this stage or they just had to go back to us. And then we also had a small percentage that were lost as well. Now what I mean by lost is that just hadn't heard from them at all after the initial contract. So I looked at this and thought, well, we need to do something about this, really to move this inactive number of patients to the active number. We wanted to do this with a series of a big campaign, which was low cost and effective, and this is what we put in place. So the first thing with this campaign was we wanted it to be a multimedia, multi-step campaign. I'll just explain that. The reason for this was that by multimedia I mean we used a number of different types of message of media outlets. So for example, we used letters, newsletters, we used postage, we used the internet, we used email. I'll go through each one in a few minutes as to what we use. A multi-step, I mean each patient we wanted to make sure had a number of communications with us throughout the process. Whether they were coming into the practice or not, we still wanted to keep in contact with that patient. And these communications are set the standard of a minimum of 14 communications a day. In terms of what we sent out to these people and what we gave these people, we stick to something called the 80-20 rule. What I wanted to do is to make sure that 80% of the communication that we had was non-sales, non-marketing, just basically purely relationship building. So some of that content I'll show you in a second. This was based on things that were happening in the practice. So for example, something that was going on in the practice, something that was going on within the team, one of the team had done a course or something like that. And that's something that we wanted to make people aware of. So 80% of our content is purely on marketing. I mean, for example, some of the stuff that I'm going to show you in a second, we're sending recipes out. So some of it wasn't even related to the dentistry whatsoever. And then 20% of it was sales and offers, something in particular to that patient, which actually incentivized them. The other two things that we wanted to do do was firstly to run something called a very high-tech and high-touch campaign. I'll just explain this briefly. There's a book called Megatrends, which was written by a guy called John Naisbitt in 1982. And what he predicted was that he was a futurist, so he predicted trends that happen in the future. And one of the things that he mentioned is that as technology develops, as the ease of communication develops, personal touch of that communication increases. So, for example, if you compare a letter to an email, it's very easy to send an email out to 1,000 people, but there's an element of loss of personal touch with that increase in ease of communication. And what he then went on to say is that the people that are successful, the companies that are successful, will be the ones that not only embrace the technology, but also continue high touch, which means a very high personality. So we wanted to embrace technology to ease the communication, but also be very personal in the way that we do this as well. And the second thing I wanted to do was also to make sure these communications were wow. And this was something I picked up by a company called, I don't know whether you're familiar with Zappos. Zappos is a company that sells shoes online. And when I first heard about this, I thought, shoes is a very difficult thing to set up online. And one of their values is that they want every experience with the customer to have a wow effect. And this is something that I looked at and embraced. So for example, if you look at Zappos, one thing they offer is a 365-day guarantee. If you're not happy with your shoes, you can return them within 365 days. The average for that is 30 days in that market. They multiply that by 10. So this is something, again, that we looked at embracing and getting into our campaign. So what did we actually do? Well, the first thing we did, going back to the element that we wanted to make things very personal, the first thing I did was we got a series of photographs of the team and also the practice as well. If you've not done this already, I would highly recommend this. It would cost you probably £100, £200 to get a photographer in for a day, get the team all nicely dressed, the team will love it as well. But this in itself is paid off multiple for, because we use photographs in everything that we send out, recall letters, the newsletters that we send out, because I want to remind our customers of ourselves, and also continue that relationship. These are essential. And also, if you look at the website, the thing that people look at most is the team photographs. So one thing I would definitely recommend is to get a good local photographer in, just for even half a day, a few hours, and get a good shot of team photographs of all the team. So what we then looked at is direct mail. Now, by direct mail, I mean actually sending people things out in the post. There are a number of things we sent out. It's also the reason why I looked at direct mail was because, again, it's very personal. A letter to an individual is very personal, and the way that we send it was very personal. So one of the things that we sent out on the mail was a birthday card. Now, this wasn't my idea, this was my team actually suggested this. And initially I was a little bit hesitant about this. I didn't think that this would, something as simple as this would be effective. But this is probably the one thing that I would go home and implement every morning. Sending a birthday card to our patients in the last 18 months has generated between £13,000 to £14,000 of payment. Now, if you think about this, this is very personal. If you look at the actual birthday card, it's very personal. It's got a photograph on there. Also, if you look on the left-hand side there, there's a £15 voucher for the person to take off on the next course of treatment. And we've had so many people come in, and birthdays are that time of year where people are thinking about themselves, think about having something done, and then you get a handwritten, hand-signed birthday card through the post from your dentist with £15 off. No other company is going to do that. So, like I said, this is probably brought in somewhere in the region of about 13 to 14,000 pounds worth of training in the last 18 months to 2 years. The next thing we send out thank you cards and thank you postcards. Now there's a couple of differences here. Thank you cards you send out if somebody sends a referral. Again, these are handwritten and hand signed. They maybe down a logo and inside. Thank you postcard is something slightly different. This is something that we just started doing recently. And every Thursday or Friday, I sit down, look at the week that's just gone by, and I handwrite 5 thank you cards, 5 patients. And these can be just to say thank you for anything. Thank you for updating treatment. Thank you for coming to your appointment. And just basically, just thank you for your loyalty. We appreciate you as a customer. We started sending these out. These are A5 and these are designed to be noticed when they come in the post. So if you get a thank you card from your dentist, we're going to show it to your wife, show it to your family. And that thing is designed to get noticed when you're around. So the next thing, this is not very clear, but the next thing that we also did was New Year's cards and Christmas cards. New Year's cards was an interesting one. We handwrote just over 1,000 New Year's cards, which we sent out, and Christmas cards as well. Christmas cards we sent out before Christmas, and New Year's cards just in the New Year. We didn't tie any offers to the Christmas cards, but we just wanted to say something to our patients, just to say thank you. With the New Year's cards, we did actually tie an offer in. It was a £10 voucher off the next course of treatment. And again, nobody sends out New Year's cards at that time of year. So just making us be different, and also going back to that wow factor, just something to make us stand out. The newsletter. The newsletter is something that we do on a monthly basis. This is something that we do by post and email. Now going back to what we said at the beginning, this is 80% of the content within this is non-marketing. Some of the stuff that we put in here is recipes, birthdays, flower of the month. We do put a little bit about, there's 2 pages now. On the second page, we're putting a little bit about the team, what's happening in our lives. And we kind of open ourselves up here because we're looking to build a relationship here with our patients. So what I believe is that if you tell the patients a little bit about yourself, then they begin to trust you. And there's so many people that actually come in and say that they read this. And I'll share with you some of the comments we have from this in a second. But this is the reason why we send this by post and by email. Is some people's preferences by post and other people's preferences by email. And again, going back to what John Nesbitt was saying, is that with email there's a certain loss of personality. So by sending it in post as well, you keep that personality and that very personal nature of communication. One of the things we looked at again is missed appointment postcards. These we made a little bit unusual in that we used a slightly different photograph on that. So if you got that through the post, you make you think. But also more than that is that if you send this out, nobody, obviously if you send a postcard out to somebody, somebody else is going to see that postcard in the family, and people don't, there's this element of not having somebody else saying, oh, did you miss that appointment? It's kind of almost like a bit of an embarrassing situation. So these work well. We'll send these out. It's just a cost of posting. So we don't have very many missed appointments, but this will be different. Recall letters. Started sending out recall letters slightly differently. As you can see on the top right hand corner, we put our photograph, the team photograph on the recall letter. We also sent out reactivation letters as well. Now by reactivation letters, I mean, for example, if we were able to look at our database and see who's not come in for what particular type of training. So for example, if we had somebody who was interested in whitening and then not come in, we would send them an offer based on whatever they were interested in. So that person would get a letter in regards to whitening. And that's quite easy to do. You can do that by looking at the system. But again, what's important about this is having a very personal nature, having the photograph on there and also sign on there as well. And we send probably about, say, together with the newsletters and the report letters, probably about 13 to 14 pieces of direct mail to each individual patient. This is an interesting one. To try and get up more reviews on Google, we designed this little postcard. Now, I wanted to have more reviews on our Google listing on our website. So what we did was we designed a little postcard. We sent this out after they've been to practice. Now, the reason why we sent out a postcard is, firstly, you can actually get people to review your practice in your site on the premises on Google. But the downside to that is that you will probably find that Google might sort of penalise for this going. It's better off that they do it at home on the computer. So this works very well. It's a reminder. So we tell them that we would like you to do this, and then a few days later they receive this postcard. This acts as a reminder. It works well, and we've generated quite a few people reviews and results. The other thing that we did was these post-treatment postcards. So what we did was we put together, if somebody had a smile makeover with us, a sort of quite extensive process of treatment, we put these postcards together, and these were actually, we had a mount on the back, so we actually mounted it to display. And what we did was we designed this, sign the back of it, and we send it out to the post. We send we've got 5 copies printed at a time. Send 2 copies to the patient, keep 2 ourselves. And what usually happens is they'll give one to a friend. Again, this is designed to make a notice. If you got this in the post, you would want to share it with friends. Social media, we did a lot of things on social media. I'd just like to go through a couple of things here. Facebook. Now, I like Facebook. Facebook gives us the ability to communicate very effectively with patients, and again, keep up our relationship with patients as well. Now, there's a couple of things that we did here. First thing was to get our existing patients to like us on Facebook. Now, one way to do this is to actually send an email out. You've already got your patients' existing email addresses. You can import that to Facebook and send a message out through Facebook saying that please like us. So they get an email asking them to like us on Facebook. On the Facebook page, we had a very personal photo of the team. Again, Facebook profile as well. You have to be very careful with reporting here. You have to be in accordance with Facebook guidelines. It's very personal. We look at that and it's us. It's the team. In terms of how we use this, we tend to set up an auto posting system. So we put a post on there one post every day or so, a regular time of day. As a result of this, it's difficult to track and measure, but in the last week or so, we've had somebody who stays in communication with us through Facebook, who's then referred 5 patients to us. So again, definitely worth it. Again, it allows us to stay in touch with our patients. Some of the other ways to actually get your patients to like you and communicate with you on Facebook and also social media channels is to have postcards or placards throughout your practice, and we got these designed, and also on these we made them very special in that we actually gave them a reason to follow us on Twitter or Facebook. And if you look at the one at the top, left there. It says get connected, and at the bottom it says for all the offers and also for keeping in touch with us on Facebook. It gives them a reason for liking on Facebook. And on the bottom there, we also have our letterheads redesigned. We have a little signature on the bottom of our letterheads with our Facebook site, with our Facebook URL, Twitter URL, and also YouTube URL. So again, with all the letters that we sent out, patients were aware of what our Facebook address was and what our YouTube address. Video testimonials. Video testimonials. We did a number of video testimonials, and these are something that we do on an ongoing basis. Just to give you an idea, one here.
I came to lifestyle dental with an officer for years, as an uncle for 15 years, and also shift. So Nadim suggested a complete change, and his measurement is the back of your massive difference to have a smile. So instead of just smiling to 6 years, it's a smile. The girls have been fab, and everybody's much good. So thank you very much.
Okay, so obviously you need consent, and there's this informed consent form is designed patient wants to do this test. What we did with this, a number of ways that you can actually use that video testimony. One is to actually put it on YouTube. You can then on YouTube put it onto your Facebook page. Also, one of the things that we did was all the YouTube videos that we had, all these testimonials, we actually got transcribed. We got transcribed and then put into a book, which we then left on coffee table in the waiting room. So that gives us a wealth of content just in one YouTube video. You can use it in a number of ways. So that's what I'm going to video blog. We do have a blog as well, which we use on a regular basis. I tend to post on there at least once a week. And this is emailed out to our patients as well. Sorry, it's not emailed out, but we do have followers who follow our blog. This again, just another form of way of communication. What we tend to do on here, what I tend to do on here, is basically answer questions. So, for example, frequently asked questions that we get asked by patients on subject matters, dentistry, tend to do about 2 to 3 blog posts. So what was the general result of doing all this? Well, what we found was that there was a general shift from inactive patients to active patients. This shift, at the end of 2012, we had roughly around about 7% inactive patients, 90% inactive patients, and we had lost 3% patients. There's a general shift towards that. But more than that, beyond that, there was the fact that we'd also kind of continued this communication with our patients, who were then referring more patients to us. So we kind of not only reduced the number of inactive patients, but also increased the number of referrals that we got. Financial data. Well, between the first year that we did this, we noticed an increase in revenue by 20%. In 2012, we increased by 14% from the previous year as well. But more than that, I mean, it was really the comments that we heard from people that came in. I mean, some of the stories that we heard, for example, some people used to say to us, oh, it feels like family coming here. I feel like I know you already. I've seen all the videos, I've read the newsletter. I feel like I know you already. I mean, for example, just before Christmas, my son was as well. He's going to be attending in hospital, and that's something that we shared in our newsletter. People would come in and ask me. This was like 4 or 5 months afterwards. People would come in and they'd ask me how my son was, just purely because they'd read it in the newsletter. They start opening yourself up to people, telling yourself more about yourself, and also using that communication. And also, people couldn't believe what we were sending to them. she didn't believe him, and he sent her a birthday card and he signed it. Okay. So that's the end of the presentation. I'd just like to leave you with, we're going to take some questions in a second. I'd just like to leave you with a question, and that's this. If human memory is such that we remember the first experience and the last experience, what was the last experience one of your patients had? The last bit of communication your patient had with you? Was it an invoice that you sent to him? Was it a bill? Was it a treatment plan? Or was it a handwritten birthday card that you signed, picked up? Wow.
Well done.